Groove Builders, welcome to the workbench. We have our Metal Earth Avengers Endgame Infinity Gauntlet. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back. On the back we get some brief instructions on how to build our model, and on the right here we have a QR code we can scan with our phones to get a 360 look at our model, and that helps us with putting little bits of detail on, like these little infinity stones. Then just below we have a difficulty rating here of just over medium. And then finally at the bottom we get a look at some other models in the series, like our Stormbreaker we built earlier. Groovers, let's go ahead and open up our package. We have our instructions, and we have our metal. Huh, I thought those stones would be a little bit shinier. I wonder how this is actually going to look when it's all complete. Groovers, let's get out our first couple of parts. And there we go, we have all of our parts needed for that first page of building. And the first thing we're going to do is grab part number 1 here, and then we're going to start forming these little infinity stones. Now, I want to be very clear on this. These little parts here are tiny, and what we need to do is get all these petals and these little lines here to match up. Now, there's a few ways we could do this. Let me bring it up real close here so you can see what I'm saying. There we go. Now, there's a few ways we could go about doing this. We could bend each one of these petals individually and then try to match up the borders. That's a really good way of doing it. We could use a tool to help us kind of get the forming, which is my favorite way of doing it because it makes everything really consistent. And I guess the third way would just be to use a smaller pair of tweezers and really kind of just cup everything. I think that one would be the hardest one, and you can see how my tweezers here have a little bit of a rounded edge. Well, that would work, but again, we would run the risk of damaging the part. Let's go ahead and try doing this with just one of our shaping tools here, and what I have is a fondant tool. You can find these online all over the place, and they're pretty cheap, but they work great for these kind of metal models, and I'm sure you can find a couple of other things to use them around the home, especially if you're into arts and crafts. And what I'm going to do now is just kind of rock this back and forth, because we're not making a circle, we're actually kind of making a kind of a concave kind of shape here, I believe you would want to call it. There we go. Whoops. Now, another big thing is launching parts. You don't want that to happen, so be very careful with this. I'm going to try to keep it open so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now what I'm doing is just making sure that every part of the metal here gets bent. Whoops. Okay, that's getting dangerous. Maybe not use the tool like that. There might be a better way of doing this. I mean, I could always just take the tool and kind of work it like that, but you don't get to see that on camera. It's not as clear, right? So anyway, back to shaping. Let's bend her down here. What we're going to do is we're going to clean up the metal a little bit. We're going to clean up these little spots. Make it look nice and round. Again, just kind of grabbing my tweezers, matching those borders the best I can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these pieces together like this. It almost reminds me of the pumpkin from Harry Potter's series, the Hagrid's house. Or Hagrid's hut, correction. Go. That's an older video too, almost embarrassing to go back and watch some of those ones. Alright. Bending these tabs down on either side, nice and square. Looking great. Now our first stone here, and I think it's very important to kind of keep everything in order, goes directly on to our part 1 here. And it goes in that first slot. Now the way I like to do this is to put in with my tweezers. It's just a lot easier that way. You could do it whichever way you wish to do it. Now sometimes you might find yourself having this one tab being out, and you can take the part out and bend it a little bit more, or you can keep the tab in place and use a smaller set of tweezers like this right here and just kind of bend it down a little bit until it gets the hole you need it to get into. Okay, excellent. That looks great. Now what we're going to do is just flip her over, and what it tells us to do is to bend these flat, and I imagine that's a very important thing to do because we're going to be putting this flat against another piece of detail. At least that's my assumption. I haven't looked actually a little that far into the instructions just yet, but I will soon. Okay, that looks fantastic. Now we can play with this a little bit if we need to kind of get that shape that we need, but we should have already got the majority of the shape before we attached it. Okay, that looks great. I really do like how that turned out. Now we gotta do another 3 of these, and because they're shaped the same way, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward to where I already have them connected. Movie magic. Push that guy down. There we go. Now, I actually may have wanted to secure them the other way, but we'll see soon if this was enough. I do like how these stones turned out, though. I mean, I could have made them a little bit more oval, especially maybe the red one here, but I'm pretty happy with them. All right, let's move on to our next piece here, which is a little bit more detail. This is part 6. So what we're going to do with this guy right here is we're going to start bending him this way, and we're going to just grab the edges, and we're going to try our best to make a nice uniform bend all the way down, just like that. And we're going to do the same thing on the inside here, and what we're doing is creating a bit of definition in this piece. This should help with the Infinity Gauntlet. I guess it'll give it more of a 3D look. Let's see here. I think that should be about right according to the picture. I just don't want any hot spots. I'm not a fan of those, as you know. Let's grab this tab here, push her down. Here, push her down. Nice. Nice! Now let's put this on. And again, we're going to secure this just like that. Awesome. You know what? Another way I could have bent that was using the same tool here. If I would have rounded those edges, I think it would have looked a little nicer too. But hey, not bad. Not bad at all. Let's move on to the next piece. This is another piece of detail. This is part 7. What we're going to do here is just go to the edge and bend these tabs down. Now, one thing I've noticed is I have a little burr here, so I got to take care of that. Now, the big thing we got to ask ourselves is, do we want to insert this first, or we want to put the detail in and the other piece in? I think that might be the better way of doing this, just because we're putting multiple pieces through each other. But let's see how it lines up and see if we need to or not. There we go. Now, you're going to see this off camera, but I'm actually going to look at a light here to see how well. Oh, we're actually really lined up, so we're okay. I'm not going to secure the tabs, though, just yet. We'll wait until we actually have all the pieces together to do that. Let's move on to our next piece here. This is part 8 and 9. 8 and 9, well, part 8 here gets bent the same way we've done our other ones. We're just going to roll that out, but this is a little bit bigger piece now, so we're going to use a bigger angle. And we're going to make a really nice stone. Take your time with this. Enjoy it. You don't need to rush this bit at all. And if you don't have something like this, you know, a good marble might work, but you would need a smaller marble. If you're a hunter, if you have any ball bearings or like little pellets laying around the home, I would say a bigger gauge pellet would be perfect, especially if you have slingshots. I'm trying to think of something that would be as small like this. It's nice and oval. I think I like that. Now, what really important to do here is I'm going to use my smaller bit of my tool, and I'm just going to try to round that the best I can. I'm going right to those tips, too. Like, I really want a nice, well-rounded tip area. Cool. I want this to look really nice. I really want a good picture on Instagram. I know it sounds silly, but I haven't uploaded to my Instagram in a little bit, and I want to make sure that when I do, that these models look like it's somebody who cared that actually built them, and not just somebody who's looking to rush out builds. I really do enjoy what I do here, and that's why sometimes it might take me a little bit longer, I think, to put videos out. Is I want to be motivated to do it and have a good time to do it too. And also, my stomach still is really just not recovering well from that appendicitis a couple weeks back. Okay, enough complaining. Let's put that down. And now what we're going to do is we're going to try to attach it to part 9. Should be pretty easy. Okay, now again with this one here, we're going to be bending these flat, and I'm going to bend them in. And the reason why I'm bending them in is because we don't want to see the tabs on the outside. We don't want to get in the way of this little border detail that we're going to be bending up soon too. Okay, now we can take this, bend her down, and what we're going to do is just kind of follow the edge, but we're not going to do it in one bend. We're going to do it in several bends, and the reason for that is that it will create a really nice shaping. Now the last little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to bend just a little bit more, and we're going to push it in just a little bit more, and what that's going to do is create a really nice edge, just like that. Awesome. So the same thing for this side here as well. And remember, you want to make this as 90 degrees as possible. It's going to be going on our glove. There we go again. I'm going to see if I can kind of maybe angle this a little bit better for everyone at home. Hope everyone's been having a good week. Good couple of weeks. Okay, that detail looks pretty good. Now we can add this on. Now, like I said before, this should go in pretty easily because everything was lining up pretty well when I looked through the light. There we go. All right, now we got 4 tabs to secure and everything lined up perfectly. I love it. You know, for step 1, this took some time, but we're cooking. We're cooking. Okay, and look at that. That looks so neat. I mean, like, I did expect the colors to be a little brighter. I'm not gonna lie. And we already know that Metal Earth does have a really shiny version of their colors because of the older, what were they called? Oh, shoot a monkey. Oh, GB1, I can't remember it. Throw it up on the screen for me. Ah, yes, that's right. The Legends models. Those were really shiny at first, and eventually they became a little bit more matte. And I think here would have been a good example of where a shiny color would have been really good to see, but nevertheless, this model still looks really cool. Let's move on to step 2, which has us building some fingers. Let me put this down here. Now, a lot of these are built the same way, so I might skip a little bit, but let's grab our first one here with part 10. And what we're going to do with part 10 here is we're going to make sure we're putting the non-engraved side, that's this side here, on the inside. And we're going to bend this down slightly. And then we're going to bend all of these pieces here. And what I'm doing is I'm doing kind of a loose bend. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to make sure everything lines up. Okay. Now it looks like this piece here on top needs to be connected first. So let's do that. I'm going to bring these wings back out here. Careful, because they do have some detail in them that will be easy to bend if you do what I just did. Now that we got that one side in here, we're just going to go and do the other one. Oh, and that went right in. That was a lot easier than I was expecting. Now, typically, you want to actually work the center here at the same time. You don't want to do one side at a time like I just did. So I'm going to try to sneak that tab in there. It didn't bend the metal too bad, so we're not too far off here. Just going to follow that edge the best we possibly can. And look, that tab wanted to go right in, so we're doing well there. But that other side still wants to be a little pesky. There we go. Awesome. Now that we got these inside here, we got to secure them into place. We're going to do that by pressing them down and then folding them over. Yeah, just like that. There we go. Got that one side in there. That was tricky. Okay, let's get the other one here. Awesome. We're working it in. We're getting there. Same with these guys here. Awesome. Awesome. That looks great. Bend these down. Bend these down. Cool. Love it. That's our first little finger there. Kind of figured out a little bit. Now we need to bend the other part of the finger here. Now, similar to what we did before, but this time we're going to look in here and you can see that there's little lines. We're going to follow those lines and follow the edges. We're going to bend them about halfway, and then we're going to use the part to help us figure out exactly how far we need to bend them. Just like that. Cool. Now, this is where I'm at right now, but I think we might have to do a little bit more bending. Let's match up our pieces here and see what happens. Okay, so now I've got this one side here in here, I'm going to secure them upward. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we want the paint to kind of blend in. But this might be a little tricky to do because we don't have both sides secured just yet. I'm going to do my best though. There we go. Now we're going to secure this little tab into place. Boom! We got our first finger here. Awesome. Try to get that lined up a little bit better. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. Yeah, it's nice and square. That's our first finger complete. Now, the only difference with the other ones here is a little bit of detail. Let's fast forward to where I'm putting that little bit of detail on. Okay, and that's that finger finished. Now, there's one thing I need to do, which I should have done before attaching that top part on, which is this little bit of detail known as part 14. Part 17 is formed the same way, and all we're going to do here is just give a nice little bend. Just around like this, and this is just a little bit of detail that's going to go on top of the finger. Now, depending on how much of a bend we need to apply here, you'll see that these tabs will need to be moved. I think, though, I've gotten a pretty good idea. Okay. That goes here. And now I'm going to grab this guy, and I was pretty much on the money with that. I'm pretty happy with it. Down there, just kind of push it into place, form it a little bit. And now we're going to grab these tabs, which might be a little tricky because, again, I should have secured them on beforehand. Push them in. There we go. A little bit of detail is now added. Very nice. Now we're going to do the other two fingers here. Let's fast forward to where they're already complete. And just make sure these guys are all tight here. All right, that is our last finger and our last part for step 2. Now, we need more parts. And there we go. We have all of our parts needed for that third page, or steps 3, 4, and 5. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is grabbing part 20 here and adding all of our fingers on. Now it's one thing to keep in mind is that the 2 tabs here go on the are going to go away from me. And this one tab here is going to go towards me, and that's going to be the orientation that I'm using because that's the same one that we see in the instructions. And the first one I'm going to attach here is the most outer one. And these guys are twisted now, and I'm going to twist towards the center. So it's like a twist and fold. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want the tabs to interfere with each other when I'm putting them into place. There we go. Okay, our fingers are all attached. That looks kind of cool. I like how it looks, I'm not gonna lie. All right, now we're gonna attach this onto that first piece that we were working on. And this is going to be tricky. I think what I'm gonna do is kind of start by forming around the edges. And then what I'm going to do is use my forming tool, that's this guy right here. And I'm going to use that to kind of get some definition. I think that's really the best way to work this out. Let's see how it turns out. And again, we're going to start by the lower half here. I'm just going to do one of these little things, just a little suggestions, nothing too crazy. I don't want to develop a hotspot here, so what I'm doing is kind of like working this a little bit, and I see how it told me to do it, and it seems like you're supposed to have a bigger bend here, but I don't want to screw up the definition that I have going on. So maybe what I need to do is connect these tabs here to kind of get the right idea to form it, and then I can work out the details. I'm going to expand that a little bit though in here, just to get a nice little curve going on. Okay, there we go. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to wait a little bit more, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of form this. I think I'm going to need to do some corrections down here, especially with here. I don't like how that told me to do the bending, and I think maybe I should have waited until I kind of knew what I was doing with the definition. I don't think it's going to impact the model completely because there's a ton of definition on it, so we'll see how it goes. Let's add those fingers on that we've done already. Okay, and now I'm just going to bring this around. I think what I'm going to try to do is attach these side tabs at the same time that I attach that one on the back. I think I should be able to do that. Okay, maybe what I'm going to do instead then is actually secure this one here and then get that one on the side, because this is not being my friend. So I'm going to do this. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to make this part here a little wider because, oh, shoot a monkey. Okay. There we go. See, now we're filling it out, and that is how you get the right shape. That took some that was not easy at all. And I feel like I might have to go back here and do some more shaping and forming a little bit later to get this the way I really want it. Now, like I said, we're going to bend this down, and that's going to hide that gold that we had from earlier. Okay, looking smart. I like it. I like it. The top part there is all inserted. Our fingers are all looking good too. I like the way this is going on. Now we need to add more detail onto our piece, which you'll see here is actually kind of a little bit challenging. Let's see how we do that with part 21. It goes back to familiar territory where we're actually bending this into kind of a little diamond shape. I'm going to do this quickly by going and grabbing the edges and just kind of giving them a slight little bend. Now again, we're going to have to do some forming once we get it onto our piece, but right now that looks pretty good. Now we're going to need part 22. This should all look very familiar because, again, we've already kind of folded these pieces before. Bring that around just like that. And there we go. Just like that. That looks great. Now we can put this part down here and grab part 23. Actually, we won't put it down. We'll put it on top here. These ones also get bent flat. No twisting here. Okay, there we go. And now these get bent down. And now what we need to grab is part 25. I'm sorry, correction, 24. All these parts start to look very similar, don't they? These guys again, bend them away. And now we take these guys and we put them down as well. Right here. Alright. And what we need to do is make sure that we're putting this in the right area. So I'm going to go like this. I forgot to bend these guys down here, so I'm going to do that quickly. Now what we're going to do is just put these little tabbies in here. Feels like I'm building almost like a layered cake here, but with metal pieces. Come around to the front end, push a little harder, grab her, and push her down. Take here, grab her, and push her down. Like this. Like this. And now we're going to come to this side. And this part here might be a little bit tricky because we're going to actually fold this down and then tuck these tabs inside here. It might not be tricky, we'll see. Actually, it was pretty simple. And then what you can do is you can actually round that edge out a little bit once it's inside there. Same with the other side. Just kind of get her in there first maybe, and then from there we go. All right. Bend her over and secure. Use my nail to push that over. A lot harder than you might think to do. There we go. Excellent. Okay, there we go. Now we got to put this onto another piece here. This is part 26. This one again was just bent like before. All we do is just go around and make sure all of these edges kind of line up. There we go. Nice. Okay, that looks really good. I like that. It's kind of weird with like the cake compression thing, but not bad. Let's put that down for right now. And the next thing we need to do is start bending part 27 here. Now 27 is kind of, I believe, our thumb bit, or part of our thumb. And just like our fingers, we're going to be inserting these tabs at the top first. There we go. Excellent. Our thumb is looking really nice in my opinion. Now let's take that thumb and just put it down for a moment. I hope I didn't rush ahead there. Sometimes I don't always look ahead, which is not a good thing to do, especially with metal models. You always want to look ahead in your instructions to make sure that you're actually going to be doing things correctly down the road. Sometimes you can bend yourself into a corner, and that's never a fun time. Alright, let's bend this back like this. And I don't know what it is, but this metal almost seems a little bit thinner than normal. Maybe just because I'm coming off of that Time for Machine Dazzling Steamliner, but it does feel like super thin. Now we're going to take these tabs here and do the same thing. We're going to bend them down like that. And there we go. Grab this guy here. Ah, okay, I see what's happening. Okay, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to use my fingers to help me kind of get that in there. And then same thing with this one here. We'll lock her down. Didn't mean to be in that one down there. We're good. We are good. We have our thumb. I think we have a good looking thumb, I would say. And now we need part 29. Part 29 is right here. And let's orientate this piece correctly. The non-engraved side is the one that's going to be on the bottom here, which I think is interesting. Okay. And then these tabs get bent towards the middle. There we go. Now we grab this assembly here and we place it on our thumb. The big side, of course, goes on the upper half, and the lower half gets the smaller side. Gotta work, 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 work those tabs into place, place, place. Copy, right, right, right. Ooh. Keep pushing and everything's wrong. Ooh. Hey! That's what I like to see. Cool. Awesome. That looks great. Now I can put this down here next to our glove. I'll put it right there just for, you know, niceness. And now I'm going to go over here and grab part 30. Now, part 30 is a very interestingly bent part. We're going to give some definition like we did with our other ones, just because we can. And doing this nice little rolling motion with this part, you'll actually make it come together, believe it or not. It's kind of a cool little thing. You can keep rolling, and when you roll, you can actually bring the pieces together. It requires a little bit of love, but you can do it. And it actually makes a really nice rounding shape. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bend these tabs similarly like we've done before. We're going to bend them inward. And that's going to allow us to connect this onto our gauntlet. Do that. And I might even need to bend them a lot more. We're going to see in a moment here. Now, we have to look very closely at the instructions here. Metal Earth says this is kind of hard. So what we're going to do is, I'm assuming red goes last and that blue goes first. So we're going to go for the blue tabs, which is this part here. Okay, I see. All right, so we have to slide this part here. Interesting. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Okay. You want to play games? We play games. This is definitely going to be one of my parts here. Attaching the thumb is going to be your biggest pain when it comes to developing this kit. Let's see, I don't want to knock off the other gems here either. This is not easy. Okay, I think we're good. I worry about the inside here a little bit. We may have to do some manipulation, you know, spread the love a little bit, but we'll get there. I have no doubt. Okay. Looking good, I think. Let's move on to our next step now, which is going to be putting on that detail that we formed from earlier. And you thought the hard part was over. Oh, no, no, we're just starting. Okay. Okay. Now, normally I would use my tweezers here, but I really want to get a good connection, so I'm going to get my tab bending tools. Do a little twisty Rooney. There we go. That looks pretty cool. I just want to kind of bend that out a little bit there. That looks so neat. I like it. I like it. That looks really cool. I mean, just like, yeah, right on. Right on. Really neat. Now we can put this aside and move on to our next step, which is step 5. That's going to be adding all kinds of cool little detail onto this guy. This is part 31. Now we're going to start with part 32 here. All of this detail is extremely easy to put on. What will be the hard part is the last part, which is actually bending this whole thing into shape. That will be the most difficult part. Now we're going to orientate this as to what we see on the page. And then we're going to double check our pieces to make sure that we're putting them in the right spot. Because believe it or not, especially if you cut out all of your pieces like I have, you can very easily mix them up. Just remember that when we're installing this detail, we're installing it flat, just like this. Okay, move on to our next piece here. Same thing as the last one. We're going to just bend these tabs straight like this. Apparently I cannot pick up pieces today. Having a really hard time with that. Okay. Oops. These two guys here actually don't go. They are our next page. I accidentally went too far. Put those out of the sight. Out of mind. Now I'll bring this last little piece over here. This is part 36. And part 36, we're going to give a little bit of a bend to, believe it or not. And the way we're going to do that is by just giving a little bit of love, just like this. I could also use this and go right down the middle of it, give a little love, just like that. And that will give a nice little shaping. See? Very cool. Nice and uniform. Alternatively, you can also use something like a dapping set like this. I know everyone has one of these laying around at your house. They're very awesome. I recommend them highly. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is take this right here, bend that down, and seam right here, bend this down as well. And there we go. Kind of messed up that one a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. What we're going to do is we're going to grab this piece right here, and we're going to start shaping this. And what we're going to do is use our dapping set from earlier, and we're going to do a nice little curl, just like that. Yeah, get everything nice and shaped, nice and bent is what we're looking for. Cool. Now we can even go a little bit more on the pressure, and the thing is, when you hit those little areas that already have detail attached onto them, that's like super thick, so you gotta press really hard to get what I'm doing here, to do it the way I want it to. Now that looks really good, I think. A little bit warped, but we can work with that. We can work with that. Now we've come to the part where we need to add this piece in here, which is what I was getting a little bit confused by looking at the instructions. But now that I see it, what I want to do is I want to do like this, and we'll bend it back. So we're going to take these, and we're going to stress them. We're not going to stress them. We're going to bring them back just like that. There we go. Cool. All right, do that. What I'm going to do here is actually alternate these tabs, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I want this to be the most securest securement I can do that I can do, I should say. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to bend opposites. So the front ones I'm going to bend in towards each other, and the back ones there I'm going to bend away. Actually go a little bit bigger just to make that work a little bit better. I'm gonna get that out of the screen. You don't need to see all these tools everywhere. What am I doing making a mess of my workbench? I'm gonna do one of these right here. See? And what this is gonna do is just make a nice uniform kind of shaping. And I love using tools like this. And you don't have to have these tools. I've said that a million times, but it really does add a nice effect to your builds. There we go. And you know what I'm going to do actually? I'm going to bend this like this. I'm going to stick this in here. This one here is a little thinner. And actually, Animate Orange's tools are really good for this as well. Unfortunately, I don't have them packed away at the moment, so I don't have access to them, but they're good tools to use as well. That's why I link them in my videos. They're really good. And all right, now that we have this done, well, we need more parts. And there we go. We have all of our parts needed to build the Infinity Gauntlet. Let's get started with part 37 over here. And this is actually pretty simple to do. All we're doing is just bending all these little tabs down here 90 degrees, because this is all add-on detail to that lower half we just built. So let's just grab those, being very careful not to grab anything but those little tabs. That little corner down here seems to be a little tricky. And then we grab it just like this. Awesome. That's our first piece formed. And now let's put that down and grab our next piece here. Same thing, grab this little tab area here, bend that down, and then we're going to grab all of these little dudes and bend them down as well. And like this. Now that we have these two pieces, we can go and we can actually attach them onto this. So let's grab our first one here. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we have the proper orientation again. That's a very key point here. And also want to make sure that this tab is bent down as well. There we go. I think like this. No? No, that is not correct. It goes right here. Whoa. And there's 2 tabs on this one side here, so make sure you get the first one, not the second one. I'm going to actually start by that one and then work this one into place. And you know, I'm looking at this right here, and I'm seeing that we're going to be putting some detail that might go inside. So rather than actually insert this and get this everything lined up, I think it's going to be a little bit tricky to get the detail added in here. So what I'm going to do first is actually secure this detail over here first, and that way, this is part 39, and that way I can ensure that everything's going to fit together. So let's go ahead and just bend all of these pieces down like we've done before. So take a few seconds here. The key part to this, though, is making sure that everything lines up. If it doesn't line up, no bueno. Okay, grab this guy. He's already on there. And now we're going to take this piece here, and we're going to insert it. And again, that's perfect. Great. Okay, so with those 2 pieces inserted, I now know they can make it. So we're going to just secure those just because we can. There we go. And now that goes right there in the front. See? Everything just works. Love it. Now watch the whole thing snap and break apart. No! Be too late in the build for that. Okay, there we go. And this one here, actually, I'm going to bend over because we want to be different. Just going to keep pushing in here. I know you guys can't really see much there. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see something. I'm just securing all these tabs there on the inside, and now I'm going to bend this using the glove to help me, and I'm going to let it guide me to where this little insertion hole is. And that pretty much almost went in perfectly. It has a little bit of a bend needed on it, but not much of one. Oopsie. Oopsie. Let's do this like that. That way we know we get a good form there. Awesome. Okay, great. This looks great. Everything looks great here. Whoops. I want to bend that back a little bit. This one here did not bend down too, so let's get that down there. And just give a nice little tight little click there. Make sure this is all done. And there we go. We got both sides of our detail, and I love that. Now we have to add on our hand. We need to make sure that these tabs here are all bent outward like this. Okay. And that's a really wide hand area, so I think this is going to take some manipulation to be able to get everything in place. Let's see here. I'm going to try to go around and insert everything in one. And then if I can't, then we're going to have to play around with things. It's a little sharp on that corner, but not bad. There we go. We have our Infinity Gauntlet almost complete. We actually need to attach some more detail on here. We're going to do that now, but we're going to go around and just bend all these tabs slightly outward. I'm going to show you why I'm doing that in a moment. That's, of course, if I'm reading that bit of direction clearly there. And put that down. And now we're going to grab this little ribbon. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the middle of this ribbon, and we're going to input that right at the front. That's this little part right here, just like that. And we're going to go around. Oh, actually, you know what? These are all going inside. We're going to hide these tabs. So let's do that. Let's hide these tabs. My miscalculation there. You could do it that way if you wanted to, but you're going to see the tabs. So let's try to hide these ones. There's the first one there. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to secure that first one And the way I'm going to do that is with a twist. And the reason why I'm doing that with a twist is to make sure this guy doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Now we're going to go around to the side here. Alright. And I'm going to secure that little clasp there. Cool. And now I'll go around and just kind of work this out a little bit. I want to hide as much of the larceny of those seams as I can, while at the same time maintaining a little bit of detail. Okay. The front part here is a little sharp there. I don't like that, but I can work that out after doing some manipulation. But now we have our Infinity Gauntlet complete! Look at that! That thing looks so cool. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe employ some magnets in here, but I gotta see if this is going to be workable or not. Let me put this down here in all of its glory. That looks so good. I mean, just look at that. That looks so good. Okay, we'll put it down. Now what we're going to do is build these columns. These are very simple to do. The stand is just basically building a box here. There we go. And now we're going to grab these little corners here, or sorry, grab the tabs here and just flush with them. And there's our perfect little box. We grab the base here, and making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be, we're going to line it up. Okay, I'm just going to do one of these little guys here. Do a little twist-a-rooney. And now, just like we've done before with the other ones, we're going to bend all of the edges down, and we're going to bend them just to where they meet. And that will make sure that they have no seams, and they look like they were intended to. Okay, very neat, very good. Now let's take this top part here. Have to get some gold-colored marker to maybe hide those. And there we go! And there we go! We built the Avengers Endgame Infinity Gauntlet! Awesome!